Hey guys, still here and welcome back to Wargame Red Dragon. This is another one of those tournament matches, which means 3 versus 3, 3,000 starting points per team, no income, no USSR, no US, and no coalitions. Make do with what you get, because, well, unless you keep some points in reserve, you are going to find that you cannot bring anything else in. This is one of the last matches that was played in the group stage, at least by the current group that you see here. This is Imposto e Rubo versus the Fancytroopers, Fancytroopers being red 4. And that means that Imposto e Rubo was the one that picked Nuclear Winter is Coming. Now, it's a large map, but it really only has a few, let's say, attack lanes. You got the one via Foxtrot, and arguably you can actually divide this one into two. Or you have the one here more on the right, the open area, or the more foresty approach. Then you have Delta, especially if you're playing this on 10v10. It is heavily fought over. But if you only get 3,000 starting points and 3 players, well, do you really want to invest a whole lot of units in it? Or are you just going to let it sit there? Because it's really only worth 1 conquest point. And then you have, let's say, the 2 routes through here or here. And arguably, maybe this one here as well. Although this can be a bit out of the ways. And seeing as you only have 30 minutes for these matches, speed is of the essence. Now, it is going to be a very interesting match. It is a large area, and while it is fairly containable, you will require a bit of attention everywhere, depending, of course, on how you position your units. The more you suddenly have to help your teammates on another flank, the more likely you are to have your attention divided, and that means less micromanagement, which in a situation like this, you just, well, you can't really afford. Now, let's see what we have here. We got Volkov going with the Dutch, the Leopard 1 NL. I'm seeing Taco FSX with the cannon, so that's the French units. And what else do we have here? Matt Klug with PAH-2 Tiger, so that's the Germans. So it seems to be a very European affair going on over here. Red 4, what are you guys bringing? We got the Charioteers. Looks like the Finnish are out in force. I mean, they pretty much always are. The XA-185 KTs are just very, very good in this game mode. Charioteers could be interesting fire support units for the infantry that comes out of here. And BMP-2s with autocannons. KRKK with grenade launchers. There we go. T-72M1. I was looking for the heavier tank. Because really, a Charioteer is not quite going to hold a candle in case they come up against either Dutch, French, or German tanks. Depending entirely, of course, on what those guys bring. Now then, we have Razor Turtle using East German helicopters. One Mi-24P, an Mi-2, an Mi-24D, and another Mi-24D. And these have 2 different versions of veterancy. This one's elite, this one's not quite, so they're potentially going to be dropping off. Yeah, there we go. It's reconnaissance, and it might be no, it can't be Spetsnaz. FJB? Potentially. So they're going to try and grab Delta, which is where they're going to meet the Panther, the Tiger, and the other Tiger. The French units from Taco and Matt with the German helicopter. Now, I think that the Mi-24 is going to be a bit outgunned here. It does have the Molnia. And sure enough, it might take down a Hilo. Yeah, the Transport Panther went down. The Mi-24P is getting hit. And the Tiger, well, both of them have Stingers and Mistral. And they have shot down the Transport Hilo. They shot down the Mi-24P. And that's pretty much Red 4's offensive gone. Red 4's offensive into Delta has failed. Now, what do we have here? Razor Turtle bringing in more units, trying to get ahead of the situation here. And we have the Yugoslavian with Dude 22 rushing into a position in Charlie. Red 4 has a +1 because it seems like they were a bit faster. What did they cap? India? Yeah, there we go, India. Blue 4 hasn't captured Foxtrot yet. Now over here it's going to be a bit of a standoff. We have infantry, which are inside the tree line. They're getting backup from their transports. I'm still awaiting the arrival of the Charioteers. They've all stopped. Okay, look at this. This is just a pretty neatly organized column of tanks. That is something you really don't see very often in Wargame. And sure enough, it's not all tanks, but normally they're just not spaced out at all. Interesting. Now, blue 4 units, Legionnaires and Commandos and Chasseurs are in the buildings, trying to keep the enemy at bay. They're having a hard time though. Grenade launchers and autocannons are making their life miserable. And this is the time that the Red 4's units start pushing here. At the same time, blue 4 is pushing in Delta. They have the Fallschirmjäger in a position to defend Delta, and they're actually trying to probe away from the position and see what else is firing back at them. They find an SPW-40, and the Fuchs is finding that there are Leichte Schützen and Grenzer, and, well, there is a bit of resistance here. And Matt knows that. Now, this seems to be the only flashpoint that we have currently. Kartjenjägeri pushing forward, Standard Jägeri. And one of the KRKK vehicles went down, so the grenade launcher is gone. Might have been due to the AMX-10RC over there. And thankfully, a helicopter shows up in the form of the Panther. That wipes out another group of infantry. And now the armored column is coming in. The Charioteers, the Pion PSV, Marksmen, the Mati, and the Tzalak, providing a bit of mortar support. This is going to be hard for blue to hold on to. Really hard. This whole column is going to be difficult to stop with what they have over here. The Panther is just about empty, and it has taken a hit or two, maybe 3, and is now gone. ATG Milan F1 team trying to fire at all those approaching vehicles, but the smokescreen is getting in the way. And that is intentional, because that's being thrown up by the Tzalak. So this group just entirely charges by the town, completely ignoring it. I mean, well, this is maybe not so much ignoring it, but just taking shots at it as they're going past. An F-84F tries to keep them at bay, not very successfully. Sure enough, it stuns them a bit, but health-wise, they're perfectly fine. The only vehicle which you could arguably kill with that is the Charioteer. And I am seeing still 2 Charioteers alive. They are going to roll right into Foxtrot here. And they're going to find the command infantry and murder them. Now over on the right 4, over on the right side, blue 4 is making a push. Corps Mariniers under the cover of smoke screens are trying to get a foothold into this tree line, and it's not going well. 2 V-Horse, Mehanitsovana and a T-72M1 are making it very difficult for the Marines to push in. They're also trying it here, Panzer Grenadier and 30 Jaeger. Their support is forthcoming, but a quad stack of Leopard 1A1s versus a couple of M91A V-Horse and a T-72 is going to end badly for the Leopards. Fortunately, they also have an offensive going on over here, where once again they find Mehanitsovana and they wipe them out. KCT, transports, and AMX-10RC recon vehicles, and if they can push through here, then that might work. Now, as Blue Force making their push here, Red has cleared out Foxtrot. Most of the vehicles have been killed off, and Blue 4 is hastily throwing together a defense in the form of an NTGM Milan F3, a Leopard 2A4, and the transport from the Milan, but that is about it. There is exactly 1 Blue 4 unit left here, and that's the VLRA. That's trying to get, well, I guess trying to get off the map, but of course that's a road to nowhere, and it's going to be forced to either hide in the woods or get captured by the Sissy team over there. There is still the Tiger over here. It's going to be pretty risky if you want to use that Tiger against the recon team over there. They still have 2 Iglas left, and that is enough to kill the Tiger. Back to the right, where the once 30 Jaeger have now been reduced to 12, and they have kicked out the German infantry. The last of the Leichte Schützen is falling back, but the Jaeger aren't letting it get away with that. And as the Jaeger are trying to push out, they're getting hit by the T-72M1. The VRs have been pulled back slightly, and the Commandos are trying to aid their German allies, trying to get this thing knocked out. And fortunately the V-Horse are not going to be in a position to stop them. Oh, they're going for the infantry instead. Oh, they were so close. The poor Jaeger, they're going to get butchered there. Over on the right, we got the AMX-10RCs. They have now been split up. Looks like they're trying to fight it out against the T-55AM. And these guys do have a decent gun on them, although, well, with the armor of 10, that is something that these guys can go through. But you're going to need a few more shots. Alright, the T-72 is dead at the hands of the commandos. The Jaeger have, one way or another, managed to survive. The Marder 2s are now pushing up and clearing out Delta. And the Leopards are rolling forward. Now again, the Leopards are very much at risk of sudden death by the V-Horse. Speaking of sudden death, Blue 4 is going to get pushed again. There is more infantry on the way. And sure enough, the Leopard 2A4 can... well, they can put up a good fight. But you're going to need a spotter. And so the French provide a spotter in the form of the VLRA, probably with commandos. Their command unit is a Leopard 1NL, so it can take a hit or two. But not really 3, because it only has 8 front armor and 3 side armor. Against infantry, which is the most likely threat currently, it is relatively well protected. Good rate of fire, just gotta keep it away from the infantry, because they will probably one-shot this unit. So Blue 4's hope is on the right flank. Red 4, conquest-wise, is ahead. And that is probably even more motivation for Blue 4 to push in. They are getting away with it. And it looks like... hold on, are both the V-Horse dead? They must be. This area looks suspiciously cluster-bombed. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if we're going to find a or 2 wrecks of the V-Horse in there. 2 Leopard 2A4 NLs are pushing forward under the cover of the Cheetah. AMX 10 RCs for support. Reconnaissance Leopards over there. Red 4 is desperately throwing together more infantry to hold on to their precious sector of Gulf. But it's going to be a tough one. Because you got a lot of autocannons. You got the Leopard 1A1s. You got infantry. And Red 4 is probably already drying up. Infantry and points wise. Now the T-55 AK is moving away. It looks like they haven't quite spotted... yeah, now they've spotted it. Leopard 1A1s taking shots at it. Side shot. Not a kill. But it is being forced to move. Gotcha. No more reinforcements for Red 4 in Gulf. Speaking of no more reinforcements, Blue 4 is getting pushed. And it looks like there's a bit of confusion going on here between where exactly the CV is supposed to be. They're thinking it might be here, or... well... I guess they didn't want the fob captured, so that's probably the oops marker. Leopard 2A4 NL is pulling back. The Commandos Para are also trying to spot whatever the hell is in the Blue 4 base. And since Blue 4 also seems to be low on points, there's an M201 106mm coming in, which is trying to get at least some shots against the invading infantry here. Now fortunately it's just Kartinjekri, it's not the Eriks, which could still make life very, very difficult for their units over here. They're now actually shooting up their own fob. That's interesting. And the Leopard 1 command vehicle is on the way out. Now, with the Leopard command vehicle on the move, Blue 4 has lost command of their air spawn. There we go. They have re-established it temporarily. If they do lose this spawn, they don't have an air spawn, but they do still have a ground spawn in Bravo. So all is not lost. But for Red 4, that situation is quite different. For Red 4, the situation is getting pretty desperate. Because Hotel, their main sector, is being covered by one MI2. The Leopard 1A1s are on the move. One of them is a bit wounded, is going to be held back. Potentially a repair vehicle coming in at some point, if they're willing to spend the resources on that. And it looks like they might just be rolling up with their infantry, just consolidating their position up there, or spending their attention over here on the left to try and get this situation under control. The commandos engaged in a firefight with the Panzerjäger. There is a MiG-29 brazenly flying over Blue 4 base and actually doing a gun run on the Leopard 1. F-84 and the Mirage F-1CT are trying to knock this guy out of the skies. These are neither of them are fighter planes. The Mirage F-1CT does have a couple of short-range air-to-air missiles. And we can see that the turning circle of the F-1CT at 400 and the one of the MiG at 300 is becoming a problem for the F-1CT. The F-84 that you can see over here also has the turn radius of 400 meters, and it does not have short-range air-to-air. It only has the Brownings. The MiG still has a couple of medium-range missiles left and a couple of short-range missiles, so it's just one big dogfight, and the F-84 seems to be on the losing end of it. I don't think that this Mirage is just going to be able to turn into that jet, but both jets are being forced to evacuate. Now the Leopard 1 is being forced back, not so much by virtue of any longer range unit, but Red 4 is cleverly using their Talak to smoke up the position, bring the Panzerjäger in closer, and as such maybe get a shot at the Leopard 1 command tank. Now, Matt is saying over here, Berlin to Warsaw in one tank. For those of you who don't recognize it, that's, I think it was the Volkswagen, the Golf or whatever? The Polo, the Beetle, I'm not sure which it was. But that was the commercial that they used. That was the fuel capacity of that vehicle. But I really like that he's using it here. Leopard 1A1's pushing forward and now starting to really encroach on the position of the T-55AK. He says, dude, try to ambush the Leos. Well, it's 3 Leos, it's 1 T-55. The T-55 is not going to win that fight. 40% accuracy versus 45% accuracy, but you got 3 guns here with 10 rounds a minute rate of fire, and 1 gun at 8 rounds a minute rate of fire. Leopards do seem to require a bit of fuel, and they have the fuel here. For some reason they're not taking it on though. Not exactly sure why that's happening, because they are all calm. Red 4 is brazenly pushing a command tank into this sector, and Blue 4 is not having any of that. The Tiger takes out the command tank, and with that, it's pretty much GG. All they have to do now is find the command unit, and the Leopards are refueled, or at least refueled enough, just to find 1 T-55 AK shouldn't be that much trouble for them. What I really liked about this match is that it was all over the place. Red 4 pushed here very aggressively, and Blue 4 pushed there very aggressively. And at the end, it got really quite exciting. Sure enough, Blue 4 had more CVs. They still had 2 CVs left versus Red 4's last remaining CV, and that seems to be the problem. But still, it is GG, and Blue 4 wins the match. So the victory goes to Imposto e Rubo. Hope you guys enjoyed that match. I had a good laugh, at least with just seeing the territory get divided and then completely conquered by left Red 4 and right Blue 4. And, of course, seeing that Berlin to Warsaw on one tank. That was a great reference. Thank you guys for watching. If you want to see how the tournament is doing, you can see that in the link down below in the description. I expect to be starting the finale stage / the elimination stage somewhere halfway through August. So it's going to be a while before you see those videos, but they are going to be good. Because the teams are getting increasingly more skilled as they progress. And, well, that's going to cause some very, very interesting games. Anyway, thank you for watching now. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you guys soon for another video.